Canadians think that Trump and Poilievre are similar. I think you'll be surprised by the results of this polling, and I think you'll also be surprised by what I have to say about it. First off, 68% of Canadians believe that Trudeau would vote for Biden in the upcoming election. What blows my mind is that 13% of people think that Trudeau would vote for Trump, with those numbers mostly coming from people who skew conservative and on the younger end of things. Meanwhile, 48% of Canadians think that Pierre Poilievre would vote for Trump, and 20% of them think he would vote for Biden, with these numbers being mostly similar across the board except for conservative-leaning voters who are more likely to say that they don't know. And here's the thing, if Pierre Poilievre was a politician in the US, he would for sure be a Republican, and he for sure would be backing Trump over Nikki Haley or anybody else. But I'm not entirely convinced that if Pierre Poilievre was a citizen in the US, he would vote for Trump. He would for sure still be a Republican, but there's a lot of Republicans out there who aren't voting at all or don't want to vote for Trump and are going to vote for Biden, which is why I think that 32% of voters don't know. And if anything, they want to hope that Pierre wouldn't vote for Trump. The problem is that that's not the reality that we live in. And if Trump is president, 44% of Canadians think that it would be better if Pierre was prime minister, with most Canadians thinking that the best approach to dealing with Trump is to stand up against him. But honestly, it seems more likely that Trudeau would stand up to Trump than Pierre, because we've seen a history of that in the past. And this is also reflected in the fact that conservatives are the most likely ones to think that we need to find common ground with Trump to deal with him. And in terms of where Canadians think that Trump and Poilievre are the same, the things that they think they're the most similar on is their views on environmental policies and climate change, which I actually think Trump is way more pro-environment and climate than Pierre is, but that's a whole other conversation. 46% of Canadians also think that they have similar stances on social issues, and 43% of them having a similar amount of respect for democracy, which I think is unfair. I think Pierre has more respect for democracy than Trump. Unless Pierre doesn't win an outright majority government in the next election, and the Bloc Québécois, the NDP, and the Liberals form a grand coalition government. At that point, I definitely don't think that Pierre would respect democracy. But the chances of that happening are virtually zero anyway. And Canadians who are most likely to think that Pierre and Trump are different are people who are voting conservative, by an absolutely massive margin. Conservative voters don't want Pierre and Trump associated in any way. They don't want to vote for somebody that they know would be aligned with Trump, which is why, especially if Trump wins in 2024, you're most likely to see the election tactic in 2025 being to tie Pierre to Trump. And this is especially important because even though the Conservatives are polling well ahead of the Liberals, only 54% of Canadians prefer Poilievre over Trudeau as Prime Minister. It's not that people like Poilievre, people just really don't like Trudeau and don't trust the Liberals right now. But the trust in the Conservative Party is significantly higher than the trust in Pierre. And I think that especially if Trump wins the American election, we're most likely going to see Pierre Poilievre winning a minority government. Once election time comes around and people start paying attention to the words that he says, I don't know if he can hold on to that massive majority lead. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below.